Listen closely. There's a shift happening in the spirit, quiet, yet undeniable. You felt it deep within you. The battles that once seemed endless have started to lose their grip. The heaviness that used to follow you everywhere now feels lighter. Something is broken. Something has changed. You may not see it fully yet, but heaven is whispering this truth over your life. The cycle is broken. For too long, it felt like you were trapped in a repeating pattern, rising, falling, rebuilding, then breaking again. Every time you thought you were free, something pulled you back. The same wounds reopened, the same disappointments circled back like a haunting echo of your past. But hear this, that season has ended. God has declared an end to the cycle that kept you bound. What once enslaved your mind, your heart, and your progress will no longer have power over you. You've wept in silence, asking, "Why do I keep ending up here again?" But this time, it's different. This time, heaven has stepped in. The struggle that repeated itself, whether in relationships, finances, emotions, or faith, has met the authority of the one who says enough. There are moments in life when God draws a line in the sand and says, "This is where it stops." You are standing in that holy moment right now. The storm that once recycled pain into your life has exhausted its energy. The enemy can no longer renew what God has revoked. The power that once chained you to yesterday has been shattered by divine decree. You might not realize it, but your deliverance has already begun. The shift didn't start in the physical, it started in the unseen realm. Heaven released a command, and the old patterns began to crumble. The same doors that used to close before you are now unlocking. The same hands that once pushed you away will have no strength to hinder you. You are walking into a fresh timeline of victory. So take a breath. Feel it, the peace that's returning, the weight lifting. The quiet assurance that something has truly changed. This is not a temporary relief. It is a permanent release. The struggle ends here. The cycle is broken. God has spoken. What you're sensing right now isn't coincidence, it's confirmation. This word was released from the throne of heaven, carried on the breath of the Spirit, sent directly into your atmosphere. God has been watching, waiting for this appointed time to declare over you. The struggle ends now. This isn't just comfort for your heart, it's a divine decree echoing across dimensions. For months, even years, heaven has been observing your endurance. Every silent prayer, every night you held on. When no one saw, every tear you refused to let harden your heart, it all became evidence before the courts of heaven that you were ready. The divine record shows that you didn't give up when it would have been easier to surrender. You stayed faithful in famine kind, in betrayal, believing when there was no sign. That faith became your legal proof. And now the righteous judge has rendered his verdict. The cycle must break. This is not the voice of human encouragement. This is the voice of divine authority speaking into your storm. When God says a thing is finished, it ceases to exist in the spirit long before it fades from the natural. That's why lately you've been feeling the ground shifting, even when nothing around you has visibly changed. The Spirit of God has gone ahead of you, dismantling every structure that once kept you bound. The invisible walls are cracking. The chains are melting under holy fire. You see, every struggle has an expiration date in heaven's calendar. There are battles that are meant to refine you, but there are also battles that overstay their assignment. And when they do, God intervenes. He steps in and says, "This ends now." You've reached that divine intersection where time, grace, and destiny collide. Heaven has issued a new command, release. And with that release comes restoration. What the enemy stole through cycles of confusion and delay, God is restoring in accelerated form. Years lost in repetition will be redeemed in months of progress. The fatigue that once drained your soul will be replaced by supernatural vitality. The fog that once clouded your vision will lift, revealing clarity so sharp that you'll wonder how you ever lived without it. You're not standing in another season of testing, you're standing in the threshold of transition. The Spirit of God is saying, you've learned what you needed to learn. Now it's time to live differently. The doors that kept leading you back to the same wilderness are closing permanently. The compass of heaven has been recalibrated to lead you toward peace, purpose, and promise. So receive this not as mere words, but as a spiritual decree written in your favor. Heaven has not forgotten you. Heaven has declared your freedom. The cycle is broken because the author of your destiny has turned the page. Now that heaven has declared your release, a new chapter is being written not in ink, but in the Spirit. What's unfolding in your life right now is not random progress. It's the fulfillment of a divine prophecy whispered long ago. You are stepping into what prophets of old called a turning season. It's the sacred moment when struggle gives birth to strategy, when pain transforms into purpose, and when all that once circled you begins to align in your favor. For years it seemed like you were walking in loops, revisiting the same mountains, encountering familiar storms, replaying lessons that felt unfinished. You tried to push forward, yet somehow the scenery of your life kept repeating itself. But what you didn't know is that heaven had been quietly orchestrating a pattern reset. The cycle wasn't meant to destroy you. It was designed to expose what couldn't go with you into your next level. God allowed the repetition so you could recognize it. Every recurring disappointment was a mirror revealing what needed to be healed, what needed to be released, and what no longer belonged to your destiny. Every closed door, every delayed breakthrough, every familiar heartbreak, it was heaven showing you what needed to end. The moment you finally saw it, the pattern lost its power. And the moment you surrendered it, heaven intervened. This is the prophecy. The old order of your life has expired. The timelines that once looped back on themselves have been severed. The spiritual cords connecting you to cycles of pain, guilt, poverty, or fear have been cut by divine authority. You have stepped into a new era where favor moves freely, blessings flow without interruption, and peace no longer has to fight to stay. You'll notice it soon. Little by little, things that used to drain you will no longer affect you. The same temptations that once pulled you back will lose their voice. People who once carried influence over your emotions will fade into irrelevance. That is the evidence of your emancipation. God has rewritten your spiritual pattern. Imagine your life like a river that was once dammed up by stones of trauma and doubt. For years the waters tried to flow forward but kept circling back. Now heaven has removed the stones. The current is free again. The sound you'll soon hear in opportunities, in peace, in unexpected favor, is the sound of water rushing where it was once still. The dam has broken, and with that breaking comes a chain reaction of divine restoration. What was delayed is now being delivered. What was withheld is being released in multiplied form. What was forgotten is being remembered in heavenly archives. For every season that the enemy stole, heaven is releasing double. But this isn't just about external blessings, it's about internal rebirth. Your mind will begin to think differently. Your spirit will carry new authority. Your prayers will feel weightier. Your words will echo longer in heaven's corridors. You will begin to sense divine acceleration in the smallest details of your daily life. Where once you felt like you were crawling, you will now soar. And this unfolding won't be subtle. The change will be so evident that even those who once doubted you will be forced to acknowledge that something divine has shifted. They won't be able to explain it logically, they'll simply sense it. You will walk into rooms that once rejected you, and the atmosphere itself will respond to your presence. That's not arrogance, that's divine favor manifested. Heaven is saying, you have graduated the wilderness. The testing season has served its purpose. You have proven faithful. You've carried pain with integrity. You've endured without bitterness. And now the one who oversees all timelines declares the cycle is broken. Walk forward unafraid. The prophecy is not about what's coming. It's about what's already begun. The cycle has ended. The new path has opened. And what was once a whisper of hope is now a roar of destiny. Every cycle has a root. Every loop that kept repeating in your life was tied to something deeper, an unhealed memory, an old agreement, a forgotten word, or a fear that quietly shaped your decisions. God, in His mercy, allowed the repetition not to punish you, but to reveal the pattern beneath the surface. He knew that unless the root was seen, it could not be severed. You see, heaven operates by revelation. What is exposed can be healed. What remains hidden continues to control. The cycles in your life, whether emotional, relational, or spiritual, were never about failure. They were about illumination. God was showing you the invisible cords that tethered your destiny to your past. There's a divine law in the spirit. Whatever you don't confront will continue until you learn its message. You kept facing the same tests, not because God was silent, but because heaven was teaching you discernment. Every time you came back to the same crossroads, the lesson grew louder. The moment you recognized it, truly recognized it, the cycle lost authority. The breaking of a cycle is not an external miracle. It is an internal awakening. It begins the moment you see clearly. The instant you say, I understand, now something shifts in the unseen. That awareness is spiritual warfare. That clarity is deliverance. For when your spirit finally agrees with God's truth, every lie that once kept you bound begins to crumble. Consider the potter's wheel spinning, shaping, pressing. To the clay, it feels endless, dizzying, repetitive. But to the potter, it's a process of design. Each rotation brings refinement. Each press forms purpose. And when the potter is done, the wheel stops. The vessel no longer spins, it stands. The stopping of the spin is the completion of creation. That's what's happening to you right now. Heaven has said, enough spinning. It is finished. Every tear that fell during the rotation became part of your glaze. Every heartbreak added strength to your structure. You are not fragile. You are fortified. You have been fired in the furnace, shaped in stillness, and now God calls you ready. The cycle breaking isn't about escaping the wheel. It's about becoming the vessel it was forming all along. Spiritually, this is a season of divine graduation. You've passed the unseen exams, the tests of patience, humility, endurance, and obedience. The reason it felt like life kept repeating was because heaven doesn't advance students who haven't yet grasped the core truth. But now, heaven sees understanding in you. The same lesson will not repeat because your spirit has evolved beyond it. And here's the mystery when God breaks a cycle. He doesn't just free you, He frees generations through you. The cycles you endured were ancient. Some patterns were inherited, passed down through lineage, pain, or culture. Yet God chose you to be the one who says, it stops here. You are the hinge on which family history turns. What once plagued those before you will no longer pass through you. Heaven calls this generational deliverance. This is why your warfare was so intense, because the battle wasn't only about you. You were the end point of an old curse and the beginning of a new covenant. The enemy fought hard to keep the cycle alive, because your victory changes everything downstream. But God fought harder. His decree silenced the old echo. You may not realize it yet, but your story is prophetic evidence that God still intervenes. The repetition you endured was the training ground for authority. You cannot lead others out of what you've never survived yourself. Every loop taught you the language of liberation. Every season prepared you to speak with the weight of testimony. You are no longer a victim of cycles, you are a breaker of them. And so when heaven says, "The cycle is broken," it's not only announcing your freedom, it's declaring your promotion. The tests that once exhausted you have now qualified you for greater influence. You have authority in the realm you once struggled in. You can now discern traps before they form patterns, before they start. That's not just spiritual awareness, that's divine mastery. The deeper meaning of this season is alignment. You are finally in rhythm with heaven's heartbeat. The endless spinning of confusion has ceased, replaced by the steady tempo of divine order. You are no longer running in circles. You are moving in sequence. Your steps are now synchronized with purpose. So when you feel stillness after chaos, don't mistake it for stagnation. It's alignment. The quiet you feel is not emptiness. It's peace reclaiming its place. Heaven often moves in silence when a new structure is being established. Let it settle. Let it root. For the stillness you feel now is the sound of destiny setting into position. You may not even realize it, but heaven has already begun sending you signs, confirmations that the old cycle has ended. These are not coincidences. They are divine breadcrumbs leading your spirit toward peace. Pay attention to these subtle yet undeniable signals that the shift is real and irreversible. 1. The inner calm after the storm. You'll notice that what used to disturb your peace no longer has the same power. The situations that once triggered anxiety now feel strangely neutral. That's not numbness, it's healing. Heaven has recalibrated your nervous system to operate from rest, not reaction. The stillness inside you is your first confirmation. The war in your spirit has ceased because the battle was won. 2. The sudden fading of old connections. People tied to your former cycles will begin to drift away, not out of drama, but divine design. God is pruning your atmosphere. When the cycle ends, every energy attached to the old pattern must detach. You'll see conversations dry up, invitations fade, and certain doors quietly close. Don't chase what's leaving. Their purpose was fulfilled in the previous chapter. This silence is sacred. It's heaven making space for new alignments. 3. The emergence of unexpected peace in uncertainty. Before, when things felt unclear, fear ruled your thoughts. But now, even without answers, you sense stability. That's the peace that surpasses understanding. God is showing you that security no longer comes from control, but from trust. The more you surrender, the lighter you feel. This is heaven's way of saying, you're walking correctly. You no longer need the map, because you're following my voice. 4. Repetitions stop appearing in strange ways. The numbers, the patterns, the timing that used to repeat, all begin to shift. Maybe you used to notice recurring moments, familiar faces, or cycles of opportunity that always ended the same way. Now those patterns have changed direction. It's as if life's rhythm itself has turned. That's because heaven has rewritten your timeline. 5. New doors that feel effortless. You'll encounter openings that don't require you to fight the way you once did. Things that were once delayed will happen smoothly. Conversations will lead to favor. Opportunities will find you without striving. This is not luck, it's divine flow. You are operating under an open heaven now. When the struggle ends, grace begins to carry what effort once could not. 6. The subtle return of joy. Perhaps the most beautiful sign of all joy returns quietly like the sunrise. One morning you'll laugh without reason. You'll feel light without explanation. That's not just happiness. It's the spirit bearing witness that the cycle is broken. Joy is the echo of freedom. These signs are not random occurrences. They are heaven's fingerprints on your timeline. They confirm that the struggle has truly ended. God doesn't need to shout when peace is speaking so clearly. So as you notice these things unfolding, the silence, the release, the new ease, the subtle laughter, let your heart respond with gratitude. For these are not hints of what's to come. They are the evidence of what has already been done. Even though the cycle has been broken, there will still be moments when the enemy tries to convince you it hasn't. Not because the power of the old pattern remains, but because deception is his final weapon. After breakthrough, the battlefield often shifts from the external to the internal. The fight becomes one of perception. You might notice echoes of the old pattern attempting to resurface familiar emotions, sudden doubts, or subtle reminders of your past. Don't be alarmed. Those are not signs of relapse. They are phantoms of memory. The enemy knows he can't rebuild the chain, so he tries to make you believe you're still wearing it. This is why your greatest challenge now is not deliverance, it's discernment. There will be days when your mind whispers, maybe nothing really changed. You'll see a small setback and feel the temptation to panic, thinking the cycle has returned. But remember this truth: what God breaks cannot be rebuilt. What he declares finished remains finished. Your job is to believe the decree more than the evidence of emotion. Another hidden challenge will be the silence after the storm. When the warfare ends, life can feel strangely quiet. You may find yourself wondering, what now? The noise of struggle used to fill your days, and now peace feels almost unfamiliar. This is a spiritual adjustment period, heaven teaching you how to live without chaos. Don't rush to fill the silence. Let your soul rest in the rhythm of calm. You are not being ignored. You are being reintroduced to peace. Then there's the challenge of new responsibility. Freedom always carries weight. When cycles end, new doors open, but they require wisdom to walk through. The blessings God is releasing will demand structure, stewardship, and strength. You can't manage them the way you managed survival. In this next phase, obedience will become your new weapon. What you once fought for through warfare, you will now maintain through consistency. You'll also encounter tests of loyalty. Some people who thrive during your struggle won't celebrate your peace. Their conversations may carry subtle jealousy, or they'll try to remind you of who you used to be. Do not be offended. See it for what it is, resistance to your elevation. You are no longer required to explain your peace to those still living in confusion. Protect your energy. Not everyone can breathe the air at this altitude. And perhaps the greatest challenge of all will be trusting the new rhythm. After years of turbulence, your spirit might flinch at ease. You'll wonder, is it safe to rest? Will this last? Yes, it will. But you must train your soul to believe that peace is not a temporary visitor. It's your new home, so when these hidden challenges come, the silence, the doubt, the unexpected resistance, see them not as threats, but as tests proving your transformation. Every time you respond differently than before, you confirm the cycle is truly broken. This is the sacred paradox of deliverance. The proof of freedom is not the absence of battle, but the change in how you fight. Now that the old cycle has ended and the new has begun, heaven is releasing instruction not as burdens, but as blueprints for stability. Freedom is not maintained by emotion. It's sustained by alignment. You are not being told what to do to earn your deliverance, but how to preserve it. These divine directives will ensure that what was broken never rebuilds, and what has begun continues to flourish. 1. Guard your atmosphere. In this new era, peace is your currency. Protect it. Be selective about what you let into your spirit. Some conversations, entertainment, and environments are designed to reopen old wounds. The moment you feel your peace draining, step back. Discern what's pulling at your spirit. Guarding your atmosphere is not isolation, it's stewardship. You are cultivating a sacred garden where nothing toxic can take root. 2. Choose stillness over reaction. In your past season, you were conditioned to fight, to explain, to defend. But now God is teaching you the power of stillness. You will win more by silence than by struggle. Every time you refuse to react to provocation, heaven fights for you. Stillness is not weakness, it's spiritual authority in motion. The mature know that divine justice doesn't require human defense. 3. Keep your altar active. Every victory must be sustained by communion. This isn't just about prayer, it's about presence. Begin and end your days by inviting heaven to speak. When you pray now, don't only petition, listen. You are no longer crying from desperation. You are conversing from dominion. Keep your spiritual fire alive through worship, gratitude, and consistent reflection. The more you dwell in divine presence, the less room there is for relapse. Speak life over your timeline. Words create patterns. What you declare daily shapes the rhythm of your future. Begin to speak into your life with authority. I walk in peace. I attract favor. I dwell in stability. Don't speak from memory. Speak from prophecy. The enemy's strategy is to make you rehearse your past pain. Heaven's counter-strategy is for you to prophesy your future peace. Speak it until the atmosphere agrees. 5. Rebuild your habits to match your healing. Deliverance without discipline is short-lived. God didn't just break the cycle so you could rest, He broke it so you could rise. Create new structures that reflect your new identity. Change your morning routine. Invest time in your gifts. Feed your mind with revelation instead of repetition. When your habits align with your freedom, your future aligns with your calling. 6. Stay humble in elevation. Promotion is a holy test. As favor increases, remain grounded in gratitude. Remember how far God brought you. Don't let the glow of new blessings make you forget the grace that birthed them. Stay teachable, approachable, and compassionate. Heaven lifts those who remain bowed in heart. 7. Forgive what's behind you. Bitterness is the bridge that leads back to old cycles. The enemy knows he cannot chain you by circumstance anymore, so he tries to chain you by memory. Forgiveness severs that bridge. Release them not because they were right, but because you refuse to be tied to what hurt you. The moment you forgive, you untie the last knot of the old season. 8. Walk with expectancy, not anxiety. The same faith that brought your deliverance must now fuel your direction. Expect good things. Expect divine appointments. Expect provision and peace. Anxiety looks for what can go wrong. Expectancy looks for what heaven is about to do next. The more you anticipate God's goodness, the more you attract it. And above all, stay aligned with obedience. The greatest enemy of new seasons is old behavior. The same habits that once comforted you in the struggle cannot accompany you into destiny. Each instruction God gives you, no matter how small, is part of a larger pattern of divine order. When you obey promptly, you stay in rhythm with heaven's unfolding. God is saying, the freedom I've given you is permanent, but it must be protected. Don't walk carelessly. Walk consciously. Don't just celebrate deliverance, embody it. This is your sacred commission. The cycle is not only broken, it's being replaced with divine order, holy rhythm, and prophetic structure. The same God who ended your struggle is now teaching you how to reign in peace. Now that you've stepped into your new rhythm, heaven surrounds you with protection. God never releases you into freedom without building a wall of light around your path. You are not walking uncovered. Even as you move quietly, divine forces move with you, unseen yet unstoppable. Every step you take is now guarded by presence. You may still walk through places where darkness lingers, but darkness no longer has permission to touch you. The fire that once tested you now becomes a fire that surrounds you. The same hand that broke the cycle has now become your shield. No weapon formed against you will prosper, not because there won't be weapons, but because they will lose their aim the moment they are raised. When you sleep, angels stand watch. When you move, heaven moves with you. When you speak, divine authority echoes behind your words. Even your silence now carries weight. This is what it means to be kept by God, to walk in an invisible security that no circumstance can penetrate. You'll notice it in subtle ways. Opportunities that used to crumble will now remain stable. Relationships that used to drain you will fade without conflict. The enemy will attempt distractions, but they'll fall flat before they form. Why? Because your frequency has changed. Darkness cannot interfere with a soul vibrating at peace. And hear this clearly, God doesn't only protect you from what you see. He protects you from what you don't. There are battles that never reached you because heaven intercepted them before they formed. There are plots that collapsed in silence, accusations that lost their voice before they reached your ears. That uneventful day you called quiet was actually God's shield in operation. When fear tries to creep back in, remember this peace is not the absence of war, it's the presence of God in the midst of it. And He is with you. Even in uncertainty, you are not alone. Even when you don't feel His hand, you're still held in His grip. The one who walked you through the storm will not leave you in the sunlight. There will be moments when you sense a holy tug, a nudge not to go somewhere, not to speak to someone, not to take a certain step. Trust that. That's your protection disguised as discernment. The Spirit of God will be your internal alarm system, redirecting you away from what looks good but isn't God. And remember this promise, the peace you feel right now isn't fragile. It won't shatter when life gets loud again. It was forged in fire, it's enduring. Heaven's protection isn't temporary coverage. It's a lifetime covenant. You are not merely escaping danger. You're being preserved for purpose. Let your soul rest in that assurance. The battle is over, but the guardianship remains. You are safe, secured, and surrounded. You've crossed over not just into a new season, but into a new identity. What once defined you no longer fits. The memories of struggle that used to sting now feel distant, like echoes from another lifetime. This is transformation, not the gradual kind that sneaks in unnoticed, but the kind heaven announces through your very presence. You are becoming the evidence of prophecy fulfilled. The change didn't happen all at once. It began quietly in the corners of your soul, where you chose forgiveness over anger, peace over panic, faith over fear. Those small, holy decisions became the architecture of your breakthrough. Heaven builds with your yes. And now, what was once construction has become manifestation. You are walking inside the very prayers you used to whisper through tears. Your heart is lighter. Your vision is clearer. Even your energy feels different. You sense it when you wake, that subtle awareness that something sacred has shifted permanently. You no longer wake up dreading the day. You rise with expectation. You no longer brace for disappointment. You anticipate goodness. That's not optimism, it's the fruit of freedom. And as your inner world transforms, your outer world begins to respond. People will notice even if they can't explain it. They'll say, "There's something different about you." It's because your atmosphere has changed. You are no longer reacting to life. You are radiating through it. The same environment that once drained you now bows to your presence, because you've learned to rule from peace, not from pain. Doors that once mocked you by staying shut will now open without resistance. Opportunities will seek you out. Divine connections will align effortlessly. And you'll realize something profound. You no longer have to chase what you were always meant to attract. When you walk in alignment, blessings are magnetized to your presence. But perhaps the most powerful evidence of your transformation is the way you carry others now. Where once you spoke from survival, now you speak from wisdom. You don't just tell people it will get better. You embody the proof that it does. Your life has become a prophetic message that God restores, that healing is possible, that cycles can truly end. You are living testimony that divine timing is never late. Every moment that once broke you has been redefined. The betrayal became the lesson. The loss became the seed. The silence became the sanctuary. And now everything that once worked against you has been folded into your favor. The storm that nearly destroyed you was actually the wind that positioned you. You are standing in the fulfillment of a divine promise that all things work together for good to those who love Him. You endured the breaking, and now you carry the blessing. You walked through fire, and now you glow with refinement. You were buried for a season, and now resurrection breathes through every part of you. This is not the end of your story, it's the unveiling of your authority. You have become who heaven always knew you were. You are stepping into purpose with clarity, into peace with confidence, into destiny with grace. The struggle is not your headline anymore, the glory is. Let your heart absorb this truth. The cycle didn't just break around you, it broke within you. You are free, and freedom is now your new foundation. Take a deep breath. Feel that stillness settling inside you. That's not emptiness, it's fulfillment. Heaven has done what it promised. The cycle is broken. The struggle has ended. And now your soul is learning how to live in peace again. Before you step back into your day, pause and let these words sink in. Let them echo through your heart, not as fleeting inspiration, but as divine affirmation, a decree you carry into every moment from this point forward. Affirmation 1. I am free, and nothing from my past can claim me again. Say it slowly. Feel the truth of it vibrate through you. Every memory, every wound, every pattern released. You owe nothing to what broke you. You are no longer the version of yourself that suffered to survive. You are the healed one, the renewed one, the chosen one who stands in victory. Affirmation 2. I walk in divine peace guarded by heaven's presence. Peace is not fragile anymore. It's a fortress. It surrounds your thoughts, your relationships, your steps. It covers your nights and strengthens your mornings. Nothing chaotic can breach what God has sealed in calm. You move differently now, anchored, balanced, whole. Affirmation 3. I am aligned with purpose and favor flows toward me effortlessly. Repeat that daily. You are not chasing, you are attracting. Every day, heaven orchestrates moments, connections, and opportunities that resonate with your calling. Doors open at divine timing. What once resisted you now recognizes you. Grace has become your rhythm. Affirmation 4. The cycle is broken and my story is redeemed. This is your declaration of completion. The old patterns have dissolved. Every pain has been redefined. Every loss has found meaning. You are no longer repeating, you are rising. What once held you captive now becomes the platform of your testimony. Now let this final blessing rest upon you like morning light, gentle, golden, eternal. May peace guard your mind and joy strengthen your spirit. May the voice of God guide you in every step you take. May every closed door reveal itself as divine protection and every open one lead to purpose. May your days be filled with clarity, your nights with rest, and your path with favor that never fades. You are covered. You are kept. You are chosen. The struggle ends here. The cycle is broken. The blessing begins. Go forth in grace, carrying light wherever you walk, because heaven has marked you for peace that cannot be stolen and destiny that cannot be delayed. Amen.